observations, reports from the units on the ground in order to assess, evaluate, and see how the ceasefire has been carried out, complied with, and also how it has improved or has caused some problems regarding the holding of the formal peace talks. The preliminary talks last January 14 to 18, and the present resumption of formal talks. So it will be under very serious study and evaluation.
Yes, on the same question on the continuation of the ceasefire, I think the ceasefire ended 3 hours ago. Insofar as the Philippines is concerned, we are hoping for future ceasefires, but that is subject to negotiations with the NDFP. So we will just have to be negotiating, talking to each other in this regard. As far as the prisoner exchange is concerned, I don't think we have ever discussed a formal prisoner exchange dialogue or discussion, but again, as I mentioned earlier, we are appreciative that the NDF or the NPA in fact released a former soldier and 2 policemen during this time.
On our part, it has been the policy and practice that practically, well, all these prisoners of war or prisoners in the custody of the New People's Army, quite a long list with General Victor Ovidio, Captain Monte Alto, Major Noel Buan, Major Francisco, and so many others have been released in a safe and orderly manner with the help of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and also in most cases to improve the atmosphere for the peace talks. You see, we have already signed 12 agreements on the peace talks, and during that period there have been goodwill and confidence building measures on both sides. On the part of the NDF, CPP, and NPA, the release of prisoners in the custody of the New People's Army, whom we consider as prisoners of war, have been carried out. It is a policy and practice. Many times also it is for humanitarian grounds on the basis of requests of the family as well as of human rights and peace organizations, peace advocates. And of course, it is checked if they have committed any crimes against the people that would require some kind of further investigation or to be subjected to the revolutionary legal and judicial system. But of course, we are quite open if in the future there will be exchange of prisoners. Actually, we are calling for or demanding the release of about 350 political prisoners, and we refer to a provision in the Caril or Agreement on Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law that states that those prisoners and detainees who have been arrested, detained, or convicted, or charged with common crimes in violation of the Hernandez Doctrine, that is a GPH doctrine of the Supreme Court, that those political prisoners should not be charged with common crimes. And then we also refer to an Oslo joint statement agreement on February 14, 2004, signed here in Oslo, which states that the release of prisoners and detainees is a continuing goodwill and confidence building measure. It is an act of magnanimity to improve the atmosphere for peace negotiations.
Good evening, my name is Pierre from AFP, sorry. My question is about the timetable. I read that the document says that you're aiming for an agreement by June 2012. Mr. Padilla said August 2012. And earlier, Mr. Benya said that he was aiming for a peace deal within 2013. So to me, it sounds like you're actually accelerating the peace negotiations. Do I get it right, or is there any change?
No, we never said 2014. We said that the agreement with a maximum of 3 years, hopefully, but in our talks, in our negotiating for the time frame, we were talking about 6 months for every comprehensive agreement, ending with practically around 18 months. And that's why in the joint statement, there is a provision there that the provision on the end of hostilities, and I always get that wrong, end of hostilities and disposition of forces will probably be completed by August of 2020. So that's the time frame that we have agreed upon, and we will try to the best of our efforts. Of course, that is not a past and that is not a date, no, that is put in stone, no? But it will be tried to be accomplished for that.
On my part, on the part of the NDSP negotiating panel, indeed, we have said that there is an urgent need for accelerated and sustained peace negotiations to force agreements on social and economic reforms, political and constitutional reforms in order to address the roots of the armed conflict. So there is a target for the reciprocal working committees on social and economic reforms to meet 3 times in bilateral meetings. In June of this year, there will be a meeting that will discuss such crucially important items of land reform and national industrialization. There's a corresponding title for that from the GPH. So there's a target in June to have already that meeting on land reform and national industrialization, together with the type chapter on basis, scope, and applicability. Then the next 2 meetings will be on the 2nd week of August and the 4th week of August. So there is indeed this schedule of trying to accelerate and sustain the peace negotiations, that is for the social and economic reforms which lie at the root of the armed conflict. So there will be this, there are already the schedules for the working group on political and constitutional reforms to meet in April, and then to meet